So we have come to this point where everybody in the first, I feel like we've come to this unspoken agreement where I try to maintain my silence in the first, in as the stream starts, and then somebody somewhere desperately tries to make me laugh, and that's I guess that I can't complain. That's nice. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the way that you guys do this is always not nice. And things that we can't talk about, or things that I can't repeat on stream, things that you probably even shouldn't be thinking about or saying to begin with. Like I feel like some of you have taking your ability to say random shit under the NDA too way too freely. Anyway, yeah, you gotta stop that shit, bro. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls. How are we all doing today? Yeah, it'll be fun. We're going to do some writing. Our year one class 2 corporation has sort of started distinguishing itself as a bunch of thinkers, right? And that's not to say the rest of you aren't thinkers, but these are specifically very pretentious thinkers. Hi, Brett. How are you? And so our year one class 2 corporation has become a little bit more pretentious, a little bit more philosophical, a little bit musing, if you will, on the nature of the human condition and all of that beautiful pretentious. I almost said boring, but what I meant to say was pretentious. And so what we're doing today is we're going to write the outline, probably most likely only the outline of a one-shot fictional story set in, did we say sci-fi? I can't remember. If our year one class 2 corporation could confirm whether it was sci-fi. And bread, normal is good. Bread, while I have you here, how is your heating situation in Germany? Are you guys I know it's not been too cold lately, but you guys have been, this sound should be off. Why is the sound not on? I know Germany and Europe as a whole has been rather warm, so okay, sci-fi it is. Fantastic. Okay. I personally like sci-fi. For sort of tangential reasons. Let me just put sci-fi. Because we have as humanity, we have this idea or this general thought of using sci-fi as a way to discuss really philosophical issues, right? Like what happens when there's a complete change in society, when we're sort of trying to study the human psyche. The problem for me for sci-fi has always been the problem with me for sci-fi has always been the hard speculative sci-fi is like the science always takes me out of it. Just because my understanding of science is sort of broadly broad. Let's just go with that. And so when I do see these types of hard speculative sci-fi, like their use of science, because apparently modern sci-fi is a lot about actual science and technology, and so whenever they start doing that, it always takes me out of the story, just because it's like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. I think, like, I read, I can't remember, some modern sci-fi author. I read an entire story over what, like 2 or 3 lunch breaks, and the only thing that kept popping up in my mind was, that's not how it works. That can't possibly happen. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And so it takes me out of it a little bit. My favorite bits and pieces of sci-fi that also study sort of that I personally like is actually I come back to this a lot is Isaac Asimov, especially especially the Foundation series, especially the earlier books within the Foundation series. As it gets later and it tries to bring it back to the iRobot series, not iRobot series, the robot series, and then all of that, it becomes a little bit less interesting. Anyway, outline sci-fi genre. Yeah, exactly. So when I say start, we're all just gonna the few participating members of the you can't see my face yet. No, you can't. Of the year two class, no, year one class two corporation will write along with me. They'll do their own writing, and then we'll sort of compare it afterwards. But we're essentially what we're going to do is brainstorm a plot and then brainstorm a setting. And also, Brett, I didn't mean to ignore you. It's a perfect weather for you. Always going out in a t-shirt. That's sort of interesting and actually very very helpful because yeah, we know that it really puts the it really brings home the point of Europe being a little bit unseasonably warm today, as opposed to, or not today, this winter, this approaching winter, and it really puts natural gas prices in perspective and sort of everything else. But anyway, let's start. Plot. Well, okay, so I don't want to go too deep into this. One of our year one class 2 students has talked about just raise the point of the hero's journey, right? And that's sort of like a very classical idea of how to structure a story. As hero starts, you know, nothing, builds up, or refusal of the call is somewhere in the middle, gets power, fights with power, and then conclusion. Yeah, something like that. -1, yeah, -1 is fine, but don't worry about it. You should go out in a t-shirt and want -1. That's perfectly reasonable. No, I appreciate that that's not the full hero's journey. I'm just like I don't actually want to talk about the hero's journey because to me that's stories are very much about societies, and a hero is not reflective of society, right? It might be the culmination of a bunch of societal edicts and underlying cultures and subconscious biases, but a hero, to me, a hero can't be the story can't be about the evolution, the growth, and the destruction of the hero, but it must be like you can use the hero to talk about society as a whole, but society as a whole should be the always the main character, because nothing is done in human society as an individual, right? Like obviously we're keeping it human, right? Nothing is done as an individual in human society. There's no great change that can ever be enacted by a single individual. It must always be a social phenomenon. Now, there are people that can take I'm sorry, this has become a philosophical discussion. There are people that can take a social phenomenon and make their own mark upon it, or push it in a direction that benefits themselves. And obviously, I'm not going to. This is a writing stream. This is not a philosophical stream. We can talk about this later. For now, let's do the plot. How about that? Yeah. Well, no, it's fine because we actually only have 5 minutes to do the plot, and then we have 5 minutes for notes. I think was all that we planned for. So why don't we get ready? 5 minutes starting in 3, 2, 1, go. I can't remember words. What? Story. Hero. Action. Hero. That's called downfall from up here now. Downfall out of the spaceship. And let's say hero. Build shelter. Survive in a challenging climate. Orbit. Oh, you may ask, we will get to that. Well, I think so. So I'm going to call time on myself here. You guys have the rest of the 3 minutes, where you can finish your own outline. For everyone else that's watching and all of the year 2 and 3 students that I have already scared away. Actually, I should say I expected many less viewers for today's broadcast than I think I'm getting. And I'm not sure why that is. Because this is it's a very niche broadcast, right? I'm sure a lot of our year 2 and year 3 students aren't really interested in this. In fact, like I only expected the year 1 students to really be interested, year 1 class 1, class 2, and class 3. But I'm seeing a lot of year 2, actually a lot of year 3 students and less year 2. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, no, we're good. It's because you guys are too young and too old. The people in the middle, I guess, I know, they don't want to think about philosophical, like they don't want to think about metaphysical philosophical ideas that have nothing to do with their current lives. Let's put it that way. Because you have better things. Okay, let's be honest. You do not have better things to do. I've seen some of the stuff that I've seen a lot of the stuff that you guys do when you are bored, and almost all of those things are less exciting than writing a story like this. I guarantee. Well, okay, I'm not gonna call anyone out here. I'm just gonna sip on my tea and answer questions. Yes. Why is this enough of a one shot? Well, think of it this way, right? The one piece of story writing advice I always adhere to, and I continue to do so, is this: is this the most interesting part of your character's life? If not, why aren't you telling me? And here is sort of like obviously this is a very loaded question, and you can be as pretentious as you want for the answer. And here is one of the ways that I would consider this particular thing interesting, right? Because we are talking here about that intersection between the life of the robot and the life of your hero. The robot will be, let's say, robot is effectively immortal, but at the start of his lifetime, hero is not, right? So we are this becomes a conversation in essence between what could amount to be a young an infant god and a jaded veteran with not much time, a jaded, short-lived veteran with only a few decades of real experience, and one that is going to die soon. And so that is the most interesting part, I think, of both of these characters' lives, right? Where we're talking about this idea of nurturing, and thank you, by the way, to our administrator for calling time when I was in the middle of talking. But also inspiration. And to me, these 5 points together form a very, very nice and robust start and end to this particular the most interesting part of these characters' lives, right? Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so we have some implications about this hero falling out of a spaceship onto an orbital platform. We have the implications of a robot that was left on the platform. The robot tells its own story about its own sort of abandonment just as it was waking up, and we're delving a little bit into consciousness, into society, and into culture, right? Because obviously, robot was left dead. Right, and so we're getting into. Well, I mean, this is how I would form it a one shot, right? Like we've talked in the past about how I would write, like the specific structures that I would create to do a piece of writing. Here, this is me brainstorming, and the idea is to brainstorm in such a way that it, like, we get a sort of a consistent overarching view of the story. I'm never going to write the story, obviously, but that doesn't mean that we can't have it as a story, right? Well, okay, we can talk about specific sponsorship for this in the future. It's not important. What am I trying to say? Right, nurturing exploration. A robot was left abandoned, so interaction between let's say delves into the discovery and understanding of society is it is getting a little bit pretentious, but this is because it was sponsored by our year 1 class 2 students, so obviously it's we talked about them being mildly philosophical and mildly boring, but everyone goes through such a phase, and I think it's nice to encourage them. Right? Discovery and understanding of society, what role culture plays in forming. That's fine. What role in shaping of a mind with no parent instincts? Right, so we're starting to build this idea, right? Like, let me put this on. Just robot. Let's maybe not call it. Yeah, we'll call it. A machine intelligence that starts with no pre-bias, let's say, no evolution. What does such a mind think? Right, and so this is what I'm trying to say here. Like, what does such a mind think about when it has much of a, let's call it a exploration. What knowledge of an exploration guru, right? So within it, well, we have things like star charts, local, that kind of stuff, right? Like exactly. It has all of the information provided to the original. It has sat there thinking about items with no, again, with no. Oh, what happened to my? Are we okay? No, this looks. Excuse me. I need to double check that that stream is still going on. Give me one quick second because I'm seeing a bunch of red from both YouTube and what? I'm so confused. That's okay. That's okay. We'll figure this out in the future. Is that muted? That is muted. Fantastic. Okay. Well, whatever. That's fine. Anyway. Why do I have it open on two sides? I was hoping someone would ask me earlier, but let me finish this thought. With no inherent, I keep talking about this. With no bias provided by a limbic. Can't do Windows. Yeah. Right, because at least this for me is what's interesting, because every decision, every thought that we have as humans is always in some way influenced by our systems, right? Like we talk about someone that's hangry, right? Like they're so hungry there that they become angry, and that is very much one of those issues where if you're hungry, evolution dictates that you should try to you should be more aggressive, because then you're able to conquer food from someone else, if that makes sense, right? So that's anyway. Why does it have two panes? So when I write, when I do a lot of brainstorming, I tend to have the same document open in two panes so that I can look at two different ideas, right? So for example, I might keep the outline on the left here, and as I'm writing, now let's write about the hero. We should go soon, yes. Let's write about the hero. The hero, I can, like, this is a nice middle of the screen position for me, so that I can see it properly, and so I don't have to scroll up and look at the outline, right? Like I can look at the notes. I can look at my notes on the robot. Well, I mean, I can do that here, but the idea is so that you can refer to other parts of the document, right? It was famous for semi-trivial, or not. Who was famous for things that, in retrospect, aren't important to him. Hero saw his own victories, but also saw them undone by, or not undone. Let's say he saw his own victories. Hero saw his own victories, but also saw them forgotten by moods. Right, and so as we develop the hero, we develop the notes, suddenly the outline becomes much more poignant, and we can start seeing the outline of the actual story itself, right? And the story itself, I think here is, well, to me, it's rather self-evident. It's going to be a sort of hopeful conversation. Someone who has seen, great fame, has seen quiet, has seen peace, is now talking to someone who only has technical knowledge of the world, but does not have an understanding of what that means for the people who actually live within it, right? And seen fame, fortune, hardships, to the ability, and to, and let's say subconsciously wants to be the god, develop a sense of empathy, something fun. Anyway, that's it for today. Yes, I could have done it all on a single page. Thank you very much. But the point again isn't that, right? The point isn't, oh, I could have done it on a single page, but the point is that I could have done so, or that it was very soon, right? Like, I literally, if I added another point down here, we couldn't see it all on a single page anymore. And so that's why I have two editors open. Yeah, that's it. Questions? You want? Yeah, so we the year one class 2 corporation, we will have a conversation about, well, for those of you who want to share what you wrote, we can have a conversation about that. We can do it sort of semi-publicly. We can hop into one of the breakout channels on the server, whenever. Well, not whenever, but like, give me a heads up, and we can discuss those things. Yeah. Kind of you from the Mommy's Corporation, but please do not sponsor me to write this actual story. I really do not have time to do so right now. Well, the difference between an outline, right? The difference between an outline and outline story on anything. The difference between outline and story is detail. Is actually forming the characters, their mindsets, and that takes my face did just indeed die. I wonder why. Well, for the rest of today, you get to see me face the camera like that. Yes, it is telling me to go. Yeah, so if I have to actually go in and delve into the character mindsets and all of that, that's going to take forever. Really don't have time for that now. So we will, hopefully, please don't sponsor that. But anyway, we're done for today. Thank you very much for watching. In conclusion, please download Firefox, please don't do Chrome, and I shall see all of you tomorrow when we will be doing sponsorships and we haven't decided yet. Okay, we'll figure it out. Cool. Okay, bye. You can't see a wink, so I'm not gonna wink. Bye.